you see the presentation?
Yes, it's coming up now. Yep.
You can see it.
Yes, we can see a white screen with some dots here.
Oh, please, can you make Jacob Alagbe co-host so that I can share? I think I'm having some issues sharing from here.
Who is that, ma'am? Jacob.
Jacob Alagbe.
Okay, Jacob. Okay. Can we please make Jacob Alagbe our co-host so that he can help with the screen sharing? Yes, I can see him here. Jacob Alagbe, please. Let's make him the co-host.
Yeah. So you will just share the screen while I continue the presentation. Sorry
Okay,
about that.
that's all right. Honorable Deme, can you please let me get the other engineer to do it because
Okay.
just give me a second.
But I will start the presentation, but it will come online once
Okay,
it starts. Let me just go ahead.
okay.
So thank you for the wonderful introduction. I hope you can all hear me.
Yes, yes, loud and clear.
Okay. So just a bit background about our work. So community engagement is more or less like the arm of government that ensures public service efficiency, monitoring of federal government programs, connecting the people at the grassroots level to what federal government is doing. Also knowing well that our our president is a pure Democrat, and as you know, he believes in carrying people along in every form of governance and also ensuring that their voices are counted in decision-making platform. And that's as simple as that is what our office is given the mandate to do, engaging people within the geographical location of North Central, but also engaging communities of interest, communities of concerns, and not just communities of geographical location. And for those that have seen the video that we shared much earlier, it shows practical example of what we do on day-to-day basis, going to the local communities, organizing what we call Citizens Assembly, which was an initiative of my office as a way of getting the people's concern documented and sent to Mr. President and other members of Federal Executive Council. It's one thing for a government to be doing a whole lot of brilliant ideas, policies, implementation. But another level of governance has to do with feedback gathering in terms of how our people who we are meant to govern with all the sweet and nice policies, how are they perceiving those policies? How are they reacting to it? What's their opinion about it? What are their major concerns? Because that's majorly what governance is all about. From the first slide, we've just talked about our appointments by Mr. President. So we have six regional SSAs to Mr. President on community engagement. Um, it underscores the President's commitment to ensuring that diverse voices and perspectives are integrated into decision-making process, enhancing community development and cohesion. I must say at this point that community engagement is actually mandate for all tiers of government to embrace because every levels of government have something they are doing in relation to people they govern and not just the federal government intervention. But it's a brilliant idea that Mr. President started this initiative and we're already working with other tiers of government to make sure that they embrace this initiative. So the appointment was a deliberate effort of Mr. President to bridge the gap between the government and the local community, fostering dialogue and understanding and collaboration. So in March 2024, I did a survey about the perception of people about federal government community engagement. How did they see engagement from the federal level? And the results actually shows near about 48% of the perceived lack of engagement, and some felt unrepresented. Some, expect optimism about co-creation. So this result of the survey that we conducted earlier when we got this appointment actually formed the basis of our engagement, because one of the things that is important to government is about building trust in the people they govern. So more or less like the usual Zoom meeting you usually have here about people talking about their work and all that. We are meant to bring trust, to build trust between the government and the people. We are meant to also promote trust and also public service efficiency, monitoring federal government interventions, and also reporting our findings to the President and also members of Federal Executive Council. So from inception to date, we've established a citizens assembly platform, like I discussed, is a platform that ensures voices in the communities are amplified and their needs are also addressed collaboratively, not just tokenism. So we engage people for them to know that they are part of the key players in our work, and their effort matters a whole lot. And from our citizens assembly, we have over 700 volunteers across the North Central region. Each of those volunteers have about 20 networks of stakeholders in their community that they connect with on a day-to-day basis to understand what is going on in the community and also share exactly what Mr. President is doing. So over the past few years, we've conducted 15 physical sections of Citizens Assembly across the different senatorial districts, one of which was the one we saw in Shongo, that's in Benue State, where we also visited Jakarta. So that's one of the physical sections where we gather people and ask them for their issues, not just in absentia. We gather them in my presence. So I don't send an SA or a PA to listen to people. I go down to the grassroots myself to conduct those physical listening assembly sections. Um, we have conducted over 30 community visits as well to inspect and also document some of the things that are ongoing in some communities and document concerns. For our listening tours, we've conducted over 6 listening tours and over 20 town hall meetings across the North Central region with the same purpose of getting the impulses, feeling the impulses of the people and reporting same. So beyond just feeling the impulses of the people, we also use the same avenue to share about federal government interventions and programs and get concerns about, oh, how are you feeling it? We remove the first subsidy. What are your concerns about it? Oh, are you aware of NEL funds? Well, as your children apply, what are the issues? We document those concerns, share some of the important initiatives that federal government is doing to members of the community for them to be part of. Some also shared their concern. There was a recruitment that happened in the Ministry of Interior that, we got a concern that one of the local governments for Kogi State was missing, and we had to work with the Ministry Permanent Secretary to make sure that that error was rectified within 24 hours. So the listening to and every activities we do is a two-way thing. We gather feedback and we also communicate what has been done. Since our inception, I've submitted over 200 community reports to Mr. President, because we gather community reports on regular basis and brief Mr. President on regular basis on what is happening in communities. We've also hosted North Central Peace Summit. We discovered that some of the reports coming from the North Central region were actually related to insecurity and peace. So we actually conveyed a North Central Peace Summit where we have people like the Chief of Defense Staff in attendance, and I had a fireside chat with him to ask them some of the questions we have gathered from the communities about the status of uh, their peace in the community, and for him to also assure the citizens, traditional leaders, and also stakeholders at that summit on what they are doing as security outfits to maintain and sustain peace. And that was done in just Plateau State. Another step to the peace summit was setting up of community peace structure in collaboration with the existing state peace agency across 61 local governments in Kogi State, Benue State, and Plateau State. The reason for setting up this peace structure was for them to continue the deliberate dialogue that we started at state capital level, for them to take the message down to their local government and for people to understand the peace message that we're doing, and also to encourage them to go ahead and encourage them to initiate early warning and early response mechanism in addressing peace, but to make, most importantly, continue deliberate dialogue that we've started with all respective stakeholders within their local government. Another major achievement from our office, because we want sustainability of any intervention, we started as community engagement body of Mr. President. We drafted a national stakeholders framework, which is awaiting presidential approval. The framework is all about making sure that power goes back to the community with the ideology of the bottom-up approach to governance, making sure that people who are affected by an issue should be carried along in the process of resolving that issue from the planning stage of that intervention up to the implementation stage. And with that, we also believe that people should be engaged in a way that is empowering, not just in tokenism. So when this engagement framework starts to be implemented, it will be implemented by the federal agencies of the federal government so that it strengthens how they're engaging people, target population, who they are meant to engage or who policies that they are working on is meant to serve. So we believe the ideology of that engagement framework is on the bottom-up approach to governance, strengthening community engagement efforts of the federal government and allowing members of the community at different levels to be carried along in federal government processes. We visited some communities, like I said earlier, visited over 30 communities, some community of distress, some communities that are facing some challenges, infrastructure challenges and other things. We've also engaged on tax reform bills. So when the process of our tax reform bill started, we were given the mandate to go down to the community and get feedback about the tax reform bill, which we did across the North Central community, going to the local and asking them what are their fears about the tax policy. Some of the fears and reports they shared with us was shared with FRSC for them to, input those concerns in the review of the tax reform bill. And, a step further is what, you have also seen in National Assembly having a public hearing about it and all that. But we already had our community engagement process across that, across North Central on this bill. We've done some initiative water projects for some school, but that's not really our work. It's just when we get to some community and we discuss, because there's a thin line between community engagement and community development. So sometimes you see that, a community is actually in need of something and, it's just within your power to do that, but that's really not our work. But because I'm a politician, I understand that, some things you just don't go to a community and leave like that. They also want to see the impact of federal government in those areas. And so we just did some interventions about water, about providing facilities to some communities in need, renovation of some of the community toilets as well. We donated some books, and we also helped some of the youth to also register their businesses with the Corporate Affairs Commission. So there was an intervention. What came about the registration of the youth businesses was based on our the feedback we got from an intervention that federal government Ministry of Youth was doing. There was a fund that was meant to give youth in businesses, and we discovered that one of the criteria the ministry added was that the youth should have a registered business. And we got feedback from the youth that, some have legit businesses, but they couldn't get the funds to register their businesses. And there's a lot of middlemen between the CAC and, the business owners, some of the lawyers in between trying to, help them to register, but at a very high prices. So we met with the registrar of the CAC, and we got a discounted rate for youth, and we were able to register 100 youth so that they could participate in that federal government intervention, because we as government agencies are meant to serve the people, but not to stress or bridge a wider gap in terms of implementation. So for us, in the monitoring of some of the initiatives and policies for federal government, we monitor and also reach out.
There's some kind of technical glitch there. She's been muted. I've just asked her. Okay.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can now.
Okay, sorry, I didn't know at what point I was muted.
Mhm.
Okay, so we've also registered over 5,000 vulnerable households in the federal government renewed hope registered the vulnerable list registration so that we could verify that some of these households are actually very vulnerable and are within the federal government registration network. Um, Other things, since assuming office, like you said earlier, we submitted over 200 reports, uh, committee reports highlighting some of the critical issues some of the communities across the North Central regions are facing. The reports range from infrastructure to education, power supply, insecurity, and, and livelihood concerns, and every other thing. So the reports, like we usually do, are channeled through the ministry, members of Federal Executive Council, most importantly, to the to the president and other Federal Executive Council for follow-up and ensure that attentions are needed. I'll cite an example of committee reports and how the intervention was done. There was an healthcare facility in Kuje area council that were practicing illegal operations, and we got the report in a week, and we discovered that the facility was not duly kept, and the people doing those operations were not licensed to do those operations. And this report got to us at a point when a family member actually lost their dear ones at that medical center. We reported this to the Minister of State for FCT, who actually is also is a doctor, and they got into action immediately. On a Sunday, they visited the clinic and also discovered what we also discovered, and the clinic has been locked down since that time last year till now. And the medical illegal or fake doctors that were practicing the operations were also arrested, and they are still behind bars. So that's the impact of some of the reports. Another major one is related to insecurity. There was one of our chiefs within a local community in Akwanga, in Nasarawa State, reported that there was a kidnapping that happened. We actually report that to the security agency at the federal level, and the village head was released. But at the end of the whole incident, the traditional leader already requested, appealed to our office that they will need a military checkpoint at the junction close to this Akwanga Jos Road, and that was facilitated within 12 hours, and which has actually strengthened the trust of the community to the government and also to Mr. President, believing that when issues are reported and channeled appropriately, uh, the issues will be addressed, and later on bringing peace and safety in the community. So on the conclusion part, the renewed hope agenda at the grassroots is anchored on the belief that sustainable national transformation can be achieved through active community engagement, inclusion, and collective participation beyond just youth or members of the community waiting for elections every 4 years for them to participate in democracy. We have created a citizens assembly platform to give the voice to people in the community and give them an opportunity for them to participate in governance, and not just because democracy is beyond just voting. Democracy is just election. It's beyond that. It's about holding us accountable and also following up with what the federal government is doing, making sure that the needs and concerns of the people are actually a priority in this government. So the activities and interventions carried out across the North Central region by my office has demonstrated that when citizens are given a voice and communities are empowered to create to co-create a solution, governance become more responsive, peace is strengthened, and development becomes more sustainable. That has been shown through our continued engagement. Through dialogue, our peace initiative and humanitarian interventions and strategic partnership, our office has continued to serve as a bridge between the government and the people. And this effort also reinforced the commitment of Mr. President to bringing governance closer to the grassroots and ensuring that no community is left behind. Community engagement remains a critical engine for building trust, promoting unity, and also driving a transformation under the renewed hope agenda of Mr. President. So briefly, that's a summary of what we've been doing so far, and we'll appreciate feedback on that. But could also expatiate on other areas of concern, during our discussion. Thank you. Thank you for listening.
You're on mute, sir.
Okay. So can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, thank you so very much, ma'am, for that robust presentation. And I must say that well, I think I encountered you when you went for community engagement after the some kind of issues in the plateau, because I used to live in Jos in those days when I was in Nigeria. So that was when I first encountered you, and I saw the way I think we saw one of the it's one of that engagement in the video that we played earlier on, and that was the first time I came across you, and that was when I got interested in what you do, and I've been following it up since then. And even then, I wasn't as deeply informed as to what your office does until now, because you see, this is why this program is, in my own view, is essential for for Nigerians across the world to always attend, because it broadens our horizon. It makes us to understand what each government department are doing, and especially with this community engagement thing, which, as far as I'm concerned, is for me is very pivotal in the present day circumstance that we find ourselves in the country, where a lot of challenges are springing up here and there due to various reasons. But the important thing is the government now, this administration at least is making that effort to engage with the grassroots. And for that, I think, especially with what I've seen you do, I think you deserve to every kudos that you're getting from every corner, not just in the North Central, but across the nation. So thank you so very much, madam, for coming on this program, because I know it's not easy, for people like you to come and sit with us for 2 hours and telling us everything that you do. Because in my interaction with our leaders in Nigeria, I think I call your schedules very crazy. Sometimes I wonder how you guys cope. But then,
Today is actually presidential primary.
it is what it is, madam. Thank you so very much. We are so grateful for you coming on this program. So we will be going to the question and answer session now. I will be handing over to one of my co-hosts, Haji Arikia Bello Abakar, to I believe she's got some questions that have been sent in by viewers. And for those who are participating on this program, on this conference, if you have any question, because whether we like it or not, this this topic for today, I think, affects everyone. whether you are living in Nigeria or you're not living in Nigeria, for people across the diaspora, we have family back home who are being affected by some of the things that has been going on at home. So this is your chance now for you. That is, if you're in doubt as to whether the government is hands on deck on the issue at hand, this is time for you to come and ask your questions. And I believe our special guest for today is up to the task to be able to enlighten us, because that is what this program is all about, for Nigerians to be enlightened as to the inner workings of the people that we choose as our leaders. So I will hand over now to Matron Hajia Rekia Bello Abakar. You have the floor now, madam. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon again to everyone, and to our special guest, Taurarian North Central. It's good to have you on board Renewed Hope Global Town Hall home. The questions, the chat room is bustling with questions and comments. But before I start that, I have one question for you, ma'am. Are you intending to spread your wings beyond North Central? Because I see from your presentation, you've been talking about North Central. Are you intending to spread it to the other parts of Nigeria?
Yeah, no, ma'am. We have 6 SSs that have been appointed by Mr. President on committee engagement. And so I'm the one covering only the North Central region. So we have other SSs which we can make their details available to the communities for them to engage with them. We have other SSs for other regions. So I'm only covering for now the North Central, which is 7 states.
Well done. I've got my first question from our chat room. It's been bustling with questions. Is what are practical examples of successful grassroots initiatives you have introduced? That's my first question, from the first question from the chat room.
Okay, thank you very much. I think one of the major grassroots initiatives we've introduced is what we've seen, which is the Citizens Assembly. So it's unusual for people to see government starting up an initiative like that, because it sounds like a civil society kind of initiative. But coming from the government, and you have a governance presence in the community. So like you see in the video, that was Ushongo in Benue State, and I invited stakeholders from across 7 local governments to meet with me as a federal government figure. So that initiative has gone beyond just getting people to speak up to in building trust. And through this process, I've been able to gain trust of the people in the community up to the level that, they find it very comfortable sharing some of even very high intelligence, security intelligence things they found out in their community with our office. And with that, we've been able to address some major security concerns. So the Citizens Assembly it operates like what you have in the National Assembly, where you have representatives. So I have representatives from different communities across the North Central that have direct connection with my office. So it's like not just me as a person, but our office documented their concerns. And when they know that, they reach out to me, and my phones are always available 247. So that Citizen Assembly has been one of the major innovative ideas that we started. And in line with that, we also created what is called Hello Community. It's an online platform for people to register their concerns to us at the federal level, and we also use the same channel to also follow up with them and send feedback on the intervention they've asked, on interventions or the challenges they have raised. So Hello Community is an online platform which is available at all our social media handles or platform for people to register their concerns, and the concerns will be channeled directly to us. And because of this Citizen Assembly, we've been able to carry out different interventions, and it has also helped the federal government to start policies and also programs. So for instance, there was a major road, Akwanga Jos, just to Bauchi roads that was a major concern, which I documented in my committee report through our Citizen Assembly platform. And it was channeled to Mr. President. And within about 3 months, we got a presidential approval and intervention for that road to be constructed. And the road construction has started, and which is a plus to Mr. President, which is also a plus to community to show that Mr. President listens to consent of the people. For now, a lot of people are talking about forest guard, vigilantes, and all that. We actually raised some of these concerns back then in 2023, 2024, when we discovered that some of our forests, some of our spaces across the bushes, our ungoverned spaces have been taken over by bandits. And this report was channeled to security agency and also Mr. President that there's a need for us to strengthen the forest guard and the people and other vigilantes for them to be able to go into the forest and also maintain peace and orderliness and address the insecurity. And, Mr. President took that off and make sure that, forest guard was formalized by the federal government level in conjunction with the state government to make sure that they are strengthened and empowered with necessary tools to secure our forests and the urban spaces. The same thing, I can go all over and over again to show the impact of this citizen assembly and the community report that we've seen and how those community reports has actually changed uh, governance and also improve public service efficiency. One of the major roads as well that is ongoing is the Omuaron from Kwara State to Egbe, Yagba East, Yagba West. That road was a major concern also leading to insecurity because some of our people, when they are piling the road or traveling, when they meet an odor bad spot, you see bandits come to attack them. And, we wrote this report to Mr. President that there's a need for this road to be executed and done. And before you know it, same way Mr. President gave presidential approval for the intervention for Akwanga Jos, the Umaron Egbe Yagba East Yagba West Road was also Kaba Bunu was also given out, and currently the road is under construction. This is not just a small road; we're talking about 263-kilometer road, which has been inspected as well from my office last 2 weeks when I was in Kogi State. So now, community engagement is now a national dialogue, and the importance of this can be over. You can't limit this importance because the Armed Forces Staff College, the idea has actually started the training, connecting the team for this year training for their course 48 was the importance of community engagement to national security and development, which shows that the military, also security agents are looking forward to see how can we strengthen community engagement and how can it also enhance our national security. So let me stop here on the examples of the initiatives that our office have carried out.
Thank you, Dr. Essiet. Another question from our chat room is, how can communities work together despite political, ethnic, or religious differences?
Yeah, thank you so much for that. I think it's one of the questions that we receive often in North Central region. Some North Central region is actually very diverse. We have a lot of ethnic groups and also different religions within the North Central. And it's part of the major ideology behind our office for us to be inclusive in any of our engagements. I will actually enforce this in any training or any gathering that we do. Earlier, in a lighter note, when you get to places like Kogi State, you can't have an engagement where you just put an Igala person without an Igura person or without a Yoruba person. Everything has to be inclusive. So we make sure that even the structures of our citizen assembly, the structure of our community engagements are very inclusive. Not just about the tribes, carrying all the tribes, the minority tribes, the majority tribes along, but also the religious group, because some of the things that have led to major insecurity has been ethno-religious crisis. So we entrench that in our day-to-day activities and we actually started a project. The Presidential Peace Initiative was the basis for that project was to promote social cohesion among the different religions, among the different tribes, for people to believe and accept one another as pure citizen in love and in humanity. That has been our major focus, bringing the different diverse groups together. And like I usually tell people when setting up our structures, and that, we are here. Mr. President is concerned with governance. Mr. President is the president of PDP. Mr. President is president of APC people. Mr. President is president of Labour Party. Everybody in the community, and this has to be seen in the kind of engagement. I started an example. Also, let me go back to Kogi State before I come to Plateau State. That, when you're setting up our peace structure across the community level, it has to be inclusive. You won't say because I'm from APC, or you gather your Bellows loyalists, when the other lady Natasha is also from the same constituency, and you're not bringing our people into the discussion that is happening. I actually want our people, most especially our leaders and traditional leaders as well, to be inclusive and make sure that once it's about structure, it's about governance, everybody should be included. And that was enforced by my office. Beyond just the religious dimension, also make sure that women, the minority, the people living with disability, the minority group are also included in our governance structure, in our engagement structure, because everybody have needs and concerns. For instance, you go to a place like Plateau State, where you have widows, where you have orphans. When you are now doing an engagement and you don't carry them along in terms of what are your experience, what are your challenges, such a narrative is haphazard and it's not holistic. So everybody in the community are carried along in our engagement, and we make sure that we enforce that. Understanding that, myself, I'm a gender activist, and I believe in working together with women. Women have a critical role in maintaining and sustaining peace in our different countries. So we make sure that all the gatherings are inclusive, and the religious group are also carried along. The typical example you saw in Benue, I don't know if some of you saw the interaction. It was like a blame game. The Makbango, the Meiti Alago were seated, the farmers were seated also in the same room. And this is the first time they were actually sitting together to actually engage one another and say, no, when you bring your cows here, you don't allow me. I said, allow me to do this, allow me to do that. We allow them to express themselves because it's important. Because once they express themselves, then you know how to actually moderate and channel a peace and reconciliation exercise. And that has been very helpful, because some of those gatherings you see, we actually brought some of the intelligence, the security agencies to also come and listen to the concerns of the people and say, this is what we are having, these are the issues that we are facing as community members, and we want Mr. President or the government agency to respond to that. So inclusion is very paramount in what we're doing. I will make sure that everybody, no matter who you are carried along, and we'll create that enabling environment in all our proceedings, in all our engagement, to make sure that everybody, their concerns are carried along. And in sustaining this engagement, we also train the peace and reconciliation structure of every state that we work with, for them to continue our intervention at the federal government level in their community, and supervised by our office, making sure that this is what we live for, this is what we work for. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Abiodun. From our chat room again, it says, what have you done regarding education in building stronger communities?
Okay, education.
What have you done regarding education in building stronger communities?
Okay, like I said, when you say education, then we'll leave it to the Ministry of Education to do. So mine is to actually supervise and document some of the intervention in terms of what are the challenges related to federal government intervention in terms of education. Some was also, for instance, for our volunteers across the North Central region, documented concerns, we actually train them on transparency and accountability, train them on volunteerism, train them on intelligence gathering, because we felt it's important for them to know and to be empowered and to learn from the instrument that is needed for them to engage correctly. And with the main ideology that we have, inclusion, and also the ideology of making sure that every voice is count and every voice is carried along. We do that regularly, but once it comes to federal government education platform, we leave that to the Ministry of Education. But on our engagement, we also supervise different interventions. So we've gotten to some communities that will say, oh, we don't have a federal institution, or this federal institution, we have these challenges, and we document all those concerns as well and send it to the ministries for them to also act upon.
Wow, well done. Another question from our chat room. What has been your greatest challenge in promoting grassroots initiatives?
Oh, thank you so much. That has been one of the major frequent questions I receive when I have a public presentation. It's about politicization of engagement process, or politicization of peace structure, or politicization of everything that has to do with government, which I think is not what we stand for. For the fact that the APC government is ruling, it's all about governance, like I said. So when I get to a state, even if it's not an APC state, we engage correctly, we engage. And one of the states, I actually gave the Plateau State governor one of the most responsive community engagement governor for the North Central region. Why? Because he has created an enabling environment for us. And that was the time why he was in PDP. So he created, because he understood the importance of community engagement, and he created an enabling environment for our office to engage with its people. So we don't want the challenges that we see is the politicization of everything. When you have, and the state governor at a point will ask, oh, you are coming to our state. Okay, please come to the government house and come and do your engagement. And some of the times, major times, I refuse to do that, because when I go to the government house, and people who are not from our party may be screened out of the people I'm going to talk to or I'm going to engage with. So I rather go to an independent venue where everybody can be brought on board and everybody can be carried along. So that's one of the major factors that has been a challenge in terms of engagement. Everything is too political when it comes to engagement, and people want to sideline other people who might not be from the same political party that you have. But the major concerns that that's affected or that we have been able to mitigate is also about the lack of trust within the communities where there's historical mistrust. Engagements are often very difficult. So for the first time in Plateau State, when we were setting up our peace structure, we invited different people from different religious backgrounds to come to the state capital from the 17 local governments in Plateau State. And for the first time, we actually made sure that they were sitting at the same table. For instance, you have one local government, just north or just south. All the stakeholders from that local government, CAN, GNI, the MACBAN, the AFAN, they're all meant to sit on the table of that local government. And this happened once in a way they've never seen it, where they were all seated together. They're from the same local government, but they've never had a chance to sit together as the stakeholders to talk. So that was a major intervention for us, making sure, because it was strategic in our arrangement, we made sure that the sitting arrangement is one step to what we actually want to achieve, making sure that people who have not talked with themselves for years are now sitting together. Because when you are in the community together and you're living with other stakeholders and you're not talking together, you can't, there will be challenges. And when you start talking and there's a deliberate dialogue, then you are one step in addressing any concern within your community. So that was what we explained to them. And it has really led to bigger outcomes for us. So that is a major challenge. But we have been able to address those challenges by raising awareness about the need for us to be very transparent in our engagement, and for us to be able to open up and have an open mind in terms of the way we engage people and what we expect from people.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Abiodun Essiet. Please don't get tired of me. Another question from our chat room, it says, what strategies can you put in place that can help communities become more self-reliant?
Okay. So thank you so much for that. So in any community, for them
Mm,
to be self-reliant, they also need to understand there's something we call ABCD, the asset-based community development.
mm,
Uh, from the NGO world, some of us we know about needs assessment, but for
mm,
us, we believe it's the asset-based community development because we believe that there's no community that has nothing. No matter how poor a community is, they still have something that can be make them to be more resilient or that can make them to promote their development. For instance, a community you've seen a community that they have a good leadership structure and they have a community development agency where they have a structure of stakeholders that do meetings regularly to address concerns. That's an asset that can be leveraged for any intervention. So, for a community to be more resilient, we want them to also look at what they have, no matter how small it can be in terms of human capacity, human resources, it can be in terms of, you have a primary school in your locality that can be used for meetings of the stakeholders within your communities and, encourage them to think beyond their immediate problems, to think about what they can do in terms of addressing their own concerns. And concerning our stakeholders engagement framework, we believe that, communities should be empowered in the process of an engagement, not just in form of tokenism, like the asking principle says. So tokenism in the sense that you just go to communities and it's when you have finished the processes of everything you want to do and say, oh, community stakeholders, this is what the federal government wants to do without carrying them along in terms of what are your concerns. This is an intervention we hope to achieve. But what are your fears? What are your concerns? So we believe that when communities are involved in anything that concerns them, or when a target population that's facing any challenge is involved, because sometimes we have a misconception about because the community they are in poverty, they are not educated, and you say, oh, we can't we can't carry them along in our intervention. I think development really is not channeled about your education or your literacy background. A community that is in poverty, but they're living in that community, they know how their community is, can actually help to resolve some of their major problems. So we don't limit a community's potential based on their illiteracy or based on their economic capacity, but they are respected in any intervention. And that should be the mindset of any community in any community intervention. Every community should be respected in the kind of mindset they have, in terms of resources they have, and they should be carried along in resolving their own problem, not like, we're just solving the problem and we're giving them like a script in form of tokenism. We don't want our community to be engaged in a tokenism way, but in an empowered way, where they are respected and their concerns are captured in any intervention.
thank you very much. I can see my participants are beginning to raise their hands. I've got two hands raised. The first one is Honorable Udeme Ukwe, and then the second person is Honorable Ogunsheye. So I will now give the floor to Honorable Udeme to ask his first, question or comments, while Honorable Ogunsheye will be on standby.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Hajia, Rekia. Thank you so much for that. Thank you again to Ambassador J.K. Adebola and our special guest. Thank you for honoring us, Dr. Abiodun Essiet. Really appreciate your time to come and enlighten us, really, and engage with us. My question is, I just wanted to just double check. I know you mentioned that you probably you gave reports. I think you said something like about 200 reports to Mr. President. My question is, as a country that we are very, very low on data. We are not really data driven in Nigeria that much. We are getting up to speed. with what you're doing, have you started building up that data to be able to track what was, what is, and hopefully understand what will be in terms of outcomes for the engagement that is being done, so that this data would help, fashion things probably in the community and as a country at large. So that's the first one about data-driven outcomes for the engagement so that we know how best we can position other engagements or targeted areas. So that brings me swiftly to my next question about targeted areas. Is there a target area for this engagement? So is it the community leaders, women? Or do we have something special for children, the boy child, the girl child, um, early marriages, and things like education, aspiration, targets for children or teenagers. So and the third one, so the first one is data, the second one is that target audience, which again for children. So that they at that early stage they start growing and developing into becoming people that will shape not just Nigeria, but the rest of the world. And my final question is with what we are doing with the engagement, is there an opportunity for the people in the diaspora or people around to be able to contribute? I know you said there are a few other SSCs, but I was just thinking, is there an opportunity for the engagement to come again from the diaspora or for other people with like-minded Nigerians to be able to support this engagement, to be able to bring it to light so that people, not just within the community, but within Nigeria, outside of Nigeria, they see firsthand what you are really, really doing. Because if not for this program, I wouldn't even know that such massive engagement, so massive contribution that you are doing to develop the community, the state, is actually ongoing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Udeme Ukwe. I'll now yield the floor to our special guest to respond to your questions.
Okay, I hope I'll be able to capture all the three questions. But let me start with the last one about the diaspora engagement. I think I want to thank the platform as well. You have given us the platform to engage other people at the diaspora level so that they understand what we're doing in the country and also advise their members of their family to also connect to this. In terms of support, I think support can be channeled through any platform for us to engage more and also get people's opinion and concerns documented and addressed by Mr. President and other members of the Federal Executive Council. I think that's it. But because of the kind of other multiple agencies that are given the mandate to engage us, so you have the Diaspora Commission and all that. So we work partnership with other agencies to see if there are loopholes. Okay, for instance, we were in New York last year under the mandate of Mr. President for the UNGA, and we actually engaged Nigerians in diaspora in the New York to also document their concerns, which they met with Mr. President, the Vice President. I was on the team to receive consent on behalf of the presidency, where the Vice President actually chaired that kind of gathering where we documented concerns and about how they want to connect back home, the issue about their tax and every other concerns and how their hunger or their quest to actually contribute to the development back home was the major highlight of that engagement. So we do that often. but we do that in partnership with other government registered agencies that are meant to carry out those levels of engagement. But for now, we just limit ourselves to the engagement within the country because we have such an enormous opportunities and requests coming from different people. So concerning the target audience as well. So, we're trying to limit our focus as well to community. So in the community, you have the women, you have the men, you have different diverse target population that is existing. But, we try to also limit because, for instance, I've had multiple requests from the student unions for me to come and engage with them. So I keep telling them, okay, I will engage with you, but we also have relevant government agencies that are meant to do the engagement in their own portfolio. We have an SSC on student affairs, SSCs on youth monitoring policies who are supposed to champion that. So ours is just to align and collaborate with them in engaging those target populations. So for instance, you have the Ministry of Women Affairs that given the mandate to engage women and also children. And Mr. President have actually declared 2026 as a day of family, as a year of family. So everything that we're doing, we realize the importance of family in our day-to-day activities, making sure that we promote the health of the family and every members of the family. So concerning target population, we involve our engagement cuts across the region. For instance, I am covering North Central region. So I also engage people. So for some time, we have engaged the private sector within this region. So we're going further in engaging the mining companies within the region because my region has a whole lot of mineral resources. So there are concerns for us to engage miners and the mining corporations so that the corporate social responsibility they are meant to do to the community is being done. We have received some kind of tension between the community in Nasarawa and the miners, where the mining activities was stopped because the community felt their concerns wasn't prioritized by the mining company. So we receive concerns like that and we do our engagement to document and make sure that the communities are empowered, the communities' voices or concerns are documented, and we'll make sure that we enforce that the agency or the ministry that are meant to take care of this prioritize that. Because the beauty of our work is the fact that we work for Mr. President, and when a federal agency sees the presidency on a letterhead and they know that we're involved, they prioritize those issues, they consider it as very important, and we followed up to make sure those concerns are documented. So in terms of our target audience, that's what I would say. It varies depending on the needs or depending on the response we receive. So I actually visited the community based on the security report that was sent to my office and based on the request from the security agency that they've done their kinetic approach to ending something, but they needed my non-kinetic approach in that community. And I actually visited and make sure that they set up a peace and reconciliation structure in that community. That was a request, and I had to engage a local communities that has farmers and that has other interest group or actors within that community. So that's how we do our engagement. But we don't wait for people to request. We actually go around on day-to-day basis to make sure that we document concerns. So we work closely as well with the Ministry of Works, where we document some of the major road or interventions going on. So there's no time the Minister of Works visits any community in any of our region. It makes sure that we are there to document concerns. And one of the impact of that has been about the concerns we documented. For instance, when we visited a place in Kogi State, we actually documented response from the community members that the dust was causing a whole lot of asthmatic condition, respiratory tract diseases in some of the communities. So we have to instruct the contractor to do a dust management to make sure that when you're constructing, you make sure you water the ground and manage the dust, and so that that people don't end up having respiratory tract infections or diseases because we are bringing development to them. So that's how our work is. That's how complementary our work is to all the different agencies and different levels of government. Concerning that, so, for instance, we started our work by having a pre-survey, maybe a pre-survey that we did a research to understand the baseline, to give us a baseline in terms of perception. So after my 4 years, we also conduct a post survey to also document what is the gap from that baseline to what is currently ongoing to evaluate the community engagement level and the perception and also trust gap for the federal government or the other tiers of government. So we're going to do that at the end of our tenure. But every of our reports are being documented and are being classified in different categories. For instance, when we had a brief, 70% of the committee reports I've submitted have been related to insecurity. So for me, for my region, that has been the reason why we have actually channeled our community intervention in a security perspective, because from our data and categories and thematics, we've seen the insecurity has taken over 70% of the reports that we have received. And another is the infrastructural deficits, where Mr. President is currently addressing that. Lapai Bida Road, there's construction going on simultaneously across the North Central region based on some of the findings and some of the data we have from the reports that we have gathered so far. So by the end of our survey, we also present that in form of reports and analysis on what has been received and what has been done. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Abiodun Essiet. I've got Honorable Jacob Ogunsheye. You are next now, please, either for your questions or contribution. Thank you.
Thank you, Ajia, for the opportunity once again. I appreciate you, ma'am. And I want to appreciate our guest as well. It has been very educative and as well done. But I just want to ask you one small question, please. I know it may not be small, but when I was looking at your at the video, I mean, when I was watching the video, when we were watching the video initially, I saw, and you actually mentioned it again now, about the security issue. I want to ask, number one, the security must have affected your work and performance. How do you, I mean, what is your plan to do it differently? Because I saw in the video public engagement, going to different places, sitting with people even under the tree. I know this, I mean, with the situation in the country, it might be a little bit tricky and difficult if I might say that. What is the other plan that you are trying to engage? I mean, you are putting on ground to ensure that you continue with the public engagement. And number two is that what will you, when you are living, for instance, maybe after 4 years or 8 years, what will you want to reckon as a legacy of your term, of your tenure in this office? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Honorable Ogunsheye. I'll yield the floor now to our special guest, Dr. Essiet.
Okay, thank you very much. I think for the concern, I think security is one of the major thing that we think about almost 10 times before we embark on any of our visits and structure. And we also don't allow this insecurity to actually limit our engagement. That's where you see we rely on intelligence gathering before we visit the community. We also make sure that we work with all the levels of security agency at the state level to help do a security analysis of the area we're going and also provide necessary security cover when I'm visiting a community. Because for the fact that the community I'm visiting, you have Nigerians in that community, I have to do everything in my power to make sure that the Nigerians feel heard. And sometimes I've been the only government figure they've seen in some of these communities that are facing this threat. And actually, it has elevated the trust level of Mr. President, understanding that they have a representative of Mr. President that's here to listen their concerns despite the security challenges. So we take our security serious, but most importantly, for us to document any security gap and make sure that the people, the common man in our community can also live peacefully. And that's why we do everything best, to make sure that, we get across to them wherever they are to give them hope, assess the security situation. So, for instance, I was in Nasarawa as well, uh, Nasarawa local government, where were born in 5 communities. I visited those places myself, or with the knowledge and advanced intelligence that the place is calm and all that. I needed to visit for us to do assessments and also see, okay, after this issue, how can our common layman community members return back to their farmland, to their home, to their central land on hot. So some of our reports are actually appreciated by security agency because we do our assessment. We do assessment post prior to any interventions to say, okay, this is what is going on in this community. This is the security intervention that is needed, and we do that most of the time in partnership with the military, the DSS, and the police as well. So that's how we be able to manage that. On the legacy we are leaving behind, it's majorly it's about the intervention, but I'm more concerned about the sustainability of what I've started. Because one of the major things that's been in terms of governance is when an administration, a new administration come on board, you see that there's no continuity in an intervention that has started by a previous administration, maybe from different political parties. That's sustainability and of all these interventions be my own paramount goal and will be a legacy I want to leave behind. And in sustaining that is based on this framework that we are working on, which will be our legacy. This is a national stakeholders engagement framework. Will be a legacy for our office to making sure that we've not just been engaging different communities for the past 4 years, but we have also left the structure for the governance structure, the federal government agency to continue what we have started on, and that legacy is that's the main legacy we're looking at, the implementation and the approval of the national stakeholders engagement framework, so that beyond just the administration is already entrenched within the governance structure and all the governance agency continue these interventions in the way we've started. And with this, the committee, the Citizen Assembly has been a major innovation within that framework that we hope when the framework is being passed, the Citizen Assembly, which is one of the legacy projects of our office, will continue in the various communities and owned by the different community members, just the same way the Community Development Agency was started and owned by the community.
Thank you, Dr. Essiet. And our Taurarua too. For those non-Hausa speaking participants, Taurarua in Hausa means star. It's a title bestowed on our special guest from her community work. Thank you so much. I'll now hand over to my chairman, Barrister J.K. Adebola.
Thank you so very much, Hajia, for that segment. I noticed we had a couple of hands up before, who has now disappeared. I just want to let them know that we still have enough time. At least we have about 30 minutes now for us to take more questions. So please keep coming with your questions. In the meantime, once again, I thank you, our special guest, for being here. Hajia has just she spoke my mind because I was going to talk about the Tararua title because being a Yoruba man that was born in the north, I like it when I see people from the south go to the north and make something. So when I saw it when I was writing up the Saturday message and I saw that, I'm like, ooh, Tazama Tamwenzu. What that means is you become one of us now because me, I still see myself as a Hausa Yoruba man. So there you go. So it shows that you're doing wonderfully well for those communities that you've been to. And now, when you were responding to one of the questions earlier, you spoke about some of the measures being put in place by various states to combat this banditry thing that's been going on. One of which is the forest guards. We know we have Amoteco in the south, and you spoke about this forest guard thing, and that set me thinking that now if those states have what is now known as forest guards, because what was playing on my mind was, okay, we have these forest guards now, but then the people they are meant to be confronting, the bandits, they have sophisticated weapons. So what was just playing on my mind then is that okay, if we're setting up these forest guards now, are they allowed to bear arms? Because I'm thinking of the the peculiarity of the kind of assignment that we're giving to them and the danger that is inherent in it. So I'm thinking, do they have the the right to bear arms whilst on duty? So I just want to ask that because it's a bit daunting for for them um for us to put them into those forest areas without proper ammunition. So I just thought I should ask that now.
Okay, thank you very much. So the Forest Guard is initiative is being implemented under the National Security Advisor's Office and in conjunction to the state government. And we've had different interventions based on the preparedness of the different states. So there are some states they finished training their forest guards, and some has been harmed. Other places which they've also finished, but some are waiting deployment of harm
Okay.
about informants in the communities, identifying our forest guard as a major uh, victim to be attacked by bandits. So because of that intelligence, we've actually also not harmed some of the forest guard in some of the states. So it's still the forest guard thing is still under review, but has been implemented full force in some states, and it's still waiting implementation based on intelligence from that state. So they are meant to also work in conjunction like a joint task force with other security agencies so that they are also covered. Like you said, the people they are meant to attack are also using sophisticated weapons. But some of our forest guys, we also use our own juju, our own local something. So believe in us, we can actually them. So they work in conjunction with the World Trade Security Agency before we leave them out to the forest to actually go on operation. But the forest guards have been very helpful have been very helpful in helping to negotiate or navigate some forest idols. So when we have an operation, when the security agency have an operation, they also follow the guide and the lead of the forest guard in telling them, okay, this is the path that you follow, this is how the forest is, this is what you see here. So they've been very helpful. For now, the implementation is not at the same level across the 30 states. Some states have trained over 2,000 of the forest guards, and some have been harmed. Some other states have also trained, but we're also waiting a bit to also be sure that it's safe for us to harm them, so that their harms are not taken away by bandits when the community is being attacked.
So I'm thinking these forest guards are recruited within the locality there, because for you to go into those forests, because in the north,
Yes, within the locality. So there are also the set of people that we're also going to use as for our state policing when it's been implemented. Some of them can actually also go into the state policing. So there are local actors within those communities. So like for instance, I was in Yagba East area and I saw a whole lot of some of our forest guards with their local guns and also with some of the jazz and juju around their body just to protect the contractors that are working on the roads that have ungoverned spaces taken over by bandits. So you see more of that. They are within those communities, and we don't import forest guard from other states. No, they're indigenous.
Beautiful. Oh, that's brilliant, because my fear was they have to have some kind of local knowledge for them to be able to succeed in going into those into those deep forests. Thank you so very much for that initiative, ma'am. I think we have a hand up now, Dr. John Anyam. Dr. John Anyam, you have the floor now. You can unmute now, sir. Sorry, you can mute now. Unmute, is it? Yeah, okay, mute now. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Abiodun Essiet. You have done a lot of good. I am from Benue, I'm Steve, and I've seen a lot of the pictures. I've seen some of the communities close to my place, and I was really, really excited to see all this. I wanted to make a couple of suggestions.
Sorry, where are you calling from, sir?
I am calling from Makurdi, please.
Makurdi, okay, thank you.
Yes, yes. I'm calling from my office in Uniagric. I work in Uniagric. That's Joseph Sawan Tiger University. I'm a lecturer there.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you. So I observed that there is a lot of, what will I describe it? Because I tend to write about the policies of the government a lot on our social platforms and all that. And I get criticized for it sounding too intellectual without really connecting to what people are facing on ground. I don't know whether I get what I'm trying to say. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, all right. So my major challenge is that, for instance, I'll give you a couple of these things. Like there's a security outfit here. I think it's a vigilante thing that is set up. And anytime I'm leaving work, because I work late in the lab, I am a researcher, so I work late in the lab, and anytime I'm going back, we pass through these places. And initially, these guys were quite professional. They just check and then allow you to pass on. Good evening, sir. Good evening, this. And then after some time, it became like asking for money. So we need money for torchlight. We need money for battery. And then if it's not someone like me or the Okada men, you harass them and all that. So what started out as a very nice arrangement for security turned out to be something else. So all this boils down to one thing: the mindset of how people are dealing with across the nation now. And I just feel that it's just a suggestion. Something can be done to address this. I'm a pure scientist. I'm an organic chemist. I don't know anything about social science, but I don't know how we can communicate with people, how we can transform them. So there's this sense of responsibility. I was reading somewhere in I think in Rwanda, where they have this umuganda setup where communities are arranged to, I mean, you have maybe one time in a week, people just go out, fix gutters, fix the streets, trim the trees, make the place look beautiful. And we just don't have those things happening. People do that with a sense of responsibility. This is our community. This is we're trying to improve this. Let me not collect money from someone. Let me just do it. So my community looks good. Let's plant these flowers. Let's make it look good. I think that aspect is missing from our Nigerian communities. So you see a very small community, we can manage our toilets, but we have youths that can actually build these toilets and build everything. But that sense of let's come together and let's do it, and without trying to exploit another person, let's come back and fix this gutter. I mean, the rain has washed away part of the road, and if we don't put sand there, it will wash it away. Or we don't wait till the government comes or things like that. That thing, it keeps touching me. But I'm just a scientist. I don't know anything about social science. I don't know whether it's the work of the church. I don't know whether it's the work of, we need to elect some special village committees around the country to be doing things like this. or should it be the work of traditional rulers, in which case most of them at times don't end up being educated enough to understand some of these things. So this is what has been, there's a sense that we are doing these things, but they are not really connecting. And then there's a gradual breakdown that eventually leads to crisis. You know, I think there was, in that same committee I was talking about, I passed through anytime I'm going home. I think eventually one of these things led to somebody being killed, and then, you know, it became something else. So I just really feel that something like this needs to be handled. Like, again, I don't know, I hope I'm not taking too much of the time, but again, there is a sense of like, within these communities, there's nothing like the actual law enforcement where you have um, um, like things like maybe theft, how are they handled without having to go all the way to town, several kilometers away to meet with the police, in which case maybe monies will be demanded or things like that. But, you know, something like the sheriff-like system they have in the US, where every small community has a sheriff, and they handle it so that these little pockets of criminality don't expand and become something bigger, you know, something like that. So that is my sense of frustration, and I don't know whether things like this have already been handled before, whether the communities, resilience is built into communities like this already, because I joined it late. I was trying to link up, but my network was not too okay. So thank you very much, Dr. Abiodun. I thank you, Dr. Joseph Adebola. I really appreciate what you've done so far. This is wonderful. Thank you. I didn't even know something like this was happening. Thank you very much, please.
Thank you so very much for that. Though I'm not the special guest, but I have the sense that some of the questions or comments you made now, some of them are completely outside the purview of our special guest. But I will leave her to make that judgment when she's responding to that. But before she does that, we have another hands up. I'll just quickly call him up
maybe let me just share my view about the first one before you go ahead.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for your point in terms of referring to the scope of our work. But, you know, it's something that I feel is everybody's business. It's just about the social responsibility. It's just about citizens understanding their rights and knowing how to live and promote their environment. And, you know, NOA, the National Orientation Agency, has been doing quite a whole lot in that regards, in helping the people to live, promote citizenship, and also guiding citizens on how to live amongst themselves and what is their responsibility. You know, during Ambassador's regime, it created what we call the Community Development Agency, CDAs. The role of CDAs is actually also to address some of the concerns that he has highlighted, where you have the traditional leaders, some of stakeholders coming together in terms of channeling their development of that community. So if there's any intervention that has to happen in that community, to go through the CDAs. But, you know, right now, some of the states in this country we don't have the presence of those CDAs. So I think it's about embracing volunteerism and for people to also own up and say, okay, this is our community. But I must say, I think I defy a little bit. There are some communities in this country that I've documented, that are actually living to the expectation, working together in addressing community concerns, and, you know, which has actually helped in our community engagement activities, because we saw their sincerity of purpose. In one of the community you saw is the Jakarta community, where the developers, you can see the paper, there was a paper presentation by the head of the Community Development Agency about the concerns that they wanted and what they have done as community members. But, you know, there are a whole lot of issues that have affected the way an individual in the community has actually responded or done their own responsibility as a citizen. Some is also due to high rate of the poverty level, the inflation level, the economic level, different root causes as actually could be described as part of the reasons why you don't see people doing a whole lot of things. And, which has also led to the widespread of bandits. You see, there was an attack in the Northeast, and it was a young boy that they actually sent to put an IED in a community that killed a general. And the boy was given 850,000 to do such an act, in a place like in the North where, the poverty level is high, and, for a young boy to see that kind of money, he will lose all his humanity and his moral upbringing and value and go for that because he feels, oh, this is it. But there's also another community in the same Northeast where Boko Haram have not invaded, where the whole community stood against the Boko Haram invasion or the recruitment of Boko Haram by Boko Haram people. They stopped that, and Boko Haram, from the decades of their action in the North, have not been able to conquer the community, because this is an example, like I said, of communities who have actually shown that they can stay together, and they're ready because they have the humanity at heart, they have the necessary value, and they're ready to work together. So I think what you've said is it's a responsibility of everybody, not just the government agency who alone. It's the responsibility of everybody in the space to see how we can promote the right value for our people, so that we can entrench the necessary things that can help our community to develop and grow. I'll stop at that.
Thank you so very much for that very succinct and deep response to that. I think we'll just go swiftly now to, I hope this will be the last caller today, unless we have another one. It's aliformuslim@gmail.com. aliformuslim@gmail.com. You have the floor now. Please unmute yourself.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Yes, good evening.
Yeah. Good evening, Dr. Abiodun. Let me sincerely appreciate you for this rich presentation you're giving. My question is this: when we talk about community engagement, it is all encompassing. It has a wide spectrum. Basically, it's talking about the Itatu, meaning the rural community, because when we talk about the urban community, it's more or less endowed with all the social institutions that you may think that will make a country or a community function. But in the rural area, those viable institutions are not present. So my question is this: after your findings, or in the process of your finding, trying to ascertain the challenges that are embedded in the rural area or in the rural community, do you have a nexus with the that is the state or this in a area community, this in a representative, or like the House of Rep or the senator representing that particular area in respect to the issues that bedevil those rural communities, so that they could give maybe temporary this in a solution to those issues before a long-time solution could be given? That is the question I have. Thank you very much.
Yes, you have the floor now, ma'am, to respond to that now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. So like I said, it's a government. Our work is a government intervention, and we don't work in silo. We work with other levels of government. So, for instance, I'm going to, for instance, like this visit to Benue State, I've actually was received by the state government. I visited it first, and also visited some of the traditional ruler. Like in this visit, I was with the Toti and other traditional leaders for them to know, because they are the gatekeepers. And part of our work is when you're going into, you meet the gatekeeper first and also engage with them. And in any place we are also visiting, the local chairman is involved, the representative at the state assembly are also involved. And in our reporting, we also copy of the state government and the state agencies that are relevant to the concerns of any committee we're visiting, for them to also take note, because we are coming from the federal government level, for them to understand what we had identified and our own readiness for us to work with them. So in the place I visited in Nasarawa, I actually sent a report to NEMA and also Ministry of Humanitarian for them to get a copy of my report and act on some of the observation, because they're federal government agency, and because what I've actually realized from the community, or the response that needs to be done are meant to be taken by a federal agency. And that's why they are copied and given a note that, the presidency has visited this community, and these are the loopholes and the gap we have identified. Like you said, we'll do the same if it has to do with state intervention, or if it has to do with the state, for them to address it at the state or local level. We also share those reports with the state governors and the local governments and the other levels of government, for them to take note of observation and work with the federal government in addressing those concerns. Like, for instance, again, I also cite an example of the local government in Nasarawa. The last one I visited, the local government chairman actually worked with me throughout the communities within his locality that I'm expecting. And actually, we are working with him as a local government chairman to set up a committee that will continue the efforts that we have established, because we saw that as a necessity, as a need to address some of the concerns identified in that report. So that's how we do our work. We don't work in silos. We work in connection with other tiers of government and other federal agencies that are responsible to address any concern identified by our visit or by our inspection.
Thank you ever so much, madam, for that response. And I think this is where we'll draw the curtain today, because we have only 8 minutes to go now. And first of all, I have to thank you immensely for the wonderful job you're doing, because it shows from the pictures that we've been seeing since we started this Q&A session now, and from the video that we watched earlier, it shows you are such a hardworking woman. And I can see the passion in what you do, because it shows in even in your responses now. It shows that you have a passion for this rural engagement, which I believe is the reason why you were headhunted by the by our president, who is known for human capital development. So thank you so very much, madam, for being who you are and for taking on this job like your life depends on it, because that's what I see with everything I've been seeing so far now, and with your responses to our questions. And again, I have to say thank you to your family for giving you the time to be with us for 2 hours, because it takes some kind of cooperation at home, to allow your spouse to go out and be talking to some strangers for 2 solid hours. So for that, I remain very grateful to you and to your family, and you will always remain in our prayers every day for a successful.
My daughter was actually at the background at a point, trying to get what her mom was doing.
Beautiful. Somebody was asking about your legacy, and I think you answered that too appropriately. Which again, I don't even think I need to ask you that, because you have already shown what you want people to remember you for. So thank you so very much for being who you are, and thank you so very much for I think the templates by the president is what you are working on, and I can see that you've added your own twist to it to make it more, how do I put it, 21st century-ish kind of. I'm struggling for the right word to use for that now, but I know you've just brought it into the time we are in now, especially with the challenges that we're having now and the way you dealt with it. Because, like I said earlier on, the first time I encountered you was when you went to, I think it was Plateau, when there was this massacre there and all that. I was going to ask you a question about it, but I didn't want to put you on the spot. So I'll send you a private message on that. So thank you so very much once again. It's been a wonderful 2 hours. Your presentation, as far as I'm concerned, was top notch, and I believe everybody else apart from myself, we've been educated and we've been enlightened as to what this government is doing in ensuring that the populace, especially those affected by all this banditry and all that, are taken care of, and they are reassured of the federal government's intervention initiatives and stuff like that. So thank you so very much for that, man. So I don't know, in closing, because normally I like to give our special guests, the floor again to have the last word. So I don't know, maybe you have the last word for both Nigerians who have listened to you and watched you on social media, and to the organizers of this program.
Yeah. Thank you very much. In final word, I will just re-echo what I said initially, that community engagement actually remains a critical engine for building trust and also promoting unity, and also driving our national transformation under this renewed agenda of Mr. President, and also to thank Mr. President for giving us the opportunity. This is the first time in the government in Nigeria for us to have a community engagement outfit, apportioned to different regions for us to engage and document concerns of the community, which I think is a plus to Mr. President, and should all the glory and acknowledgement that you've given me should actually go to Mr. President, who is my boss, who has thought it's deemed fit to create such an office, because he wants to connect with the reality and understand the impulses of the people. Just like some people, I made an example about the Arab Spring. I know Arab Spring started because of the cost of bread. In the Arab country, where the leaders didn't actually connect to know the reality of the cost of bread. But for Nigeria, we don't have to think about that, because we already feel we have community engagement officers of Mr. President moving from one community to another, documenting the impulses of our people, and actually relating that to Mr. President on day-to-day activity. And I want to thank Mr. President again for the privilege and the trust that he has given to us to actually do this, and for his goodwill and the enabling environment he has given for us to carry this work, and the weight he has thrown behind community engagement. Like you see, all the security agencies understand our work, and they are already ready with open hands to welcome Mr. President community engagement team in the various states that we visit, or the communities that we visit. So I would say thank you to Mr. President for creating such an office, and thank you to also your platform, the Renewed Global platform, for making sure that things that happen in the government is actually reaching to the global audience and other people that need to know, so that they can actually trust this government and give us that benefit of doubt in making sure that we're actually doing what we have asked, what we have campaigned to do. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much for that, ma'am. And I think I echo your appreciation for the president too. I said it earlier on, because he's known for scouting for the right people to put in the right places. And I guess maybe that's the reason why you came into the mix. So for that, we remain grateful to him too, just like we remain grateful to you for honoring our invitation and being here. So thank you so very much, madam. I've got a couple of private messages now. People were asking if you kindly avail us with your presentation, so that we can share it with people who are interested, because it seems like the presentation deals with a lot of people, and they want to have it maybe as a souvenir, or maybe for something for them to refer to at critical times in the moving forward. So if you can just avail us of that, and we'll be very, very grateful. So once again, thank you so very much for you, and thank you to your family as well. And I'm wishing you all the very best.
Thank you very much. I've also shared some of our social media pages and website and YouTube pages for them to follow up our work on your WhatsApp, which can be shared to the community at any point in time for you to engage and continue to share your concerns to us, and also follow our work in different social media pages. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much. We'll pass it around by the grace of God. Thank you so very much. So on this note, we will be drawing the curtains. We have a couple of leaders and stakeholders in the house, but I'll be dealing with that in my thank you message tomorrow. Thank you all for everybody who has been part of this program in the last 2 hours. It's not easy for anybody to sit down for 2 hours to listen to presentation like this, especially because we do this every week. And you not being tired of coming to us, we don't take that for granted. For that, we will remain ever, ever, ever grateful to you all. For everybody from America, I can see people from America, from Russia, Benin Republic, Canada. I can see so many from all parts of Africa, Ghana, and the rest of them. Thank you so very much for being part of this program. Again, we will be here next week, and our special guest for next week, he was on this program before, so I think sometime last year or 2 years ago, but by popular demand, he is coming back now, and his name is Dr. Odiako Obire. He's the Director General of the Nigerian Thoughts Project. He's coming in on Saturday next week. It's going to be another interesting one too, because he's going to be talking about our politics, our internal democracy, and the rest of them, given what's the fact that we just concluded our or almost concluding our primaries now. We feel it's appropriate for us to bring that again out, because throughout the week there's been some kind of misconception as to what happened and what did it happen and stuff like that. So we need somebody to come again and address Nigerians across the world. So because we don't want anybody to have any misconception about Nigeria, because that was what bust this program. Because a lot of fake stories, downright lies are being told with the sole purpose of the marketing Nigeria, both by Nigerians and even, I dare say, some aspiring leaders. They have this penchant of going outside the country, or even whilst in the country, of the marketing the country. And that was one of the reasons why we decided to say, we cannot allow this to continue. Let us create a platform where we can bring people from government to come and enlighten Nigerians and shed light on some of the things that are kind of cagey to people, some of the things that people don't understand. So that they can understand. Again, regarding the engagement now with the grassroots. Now, I think I have been educated today, seriously, and I believe everybody else watching and those participants, all the participants too have been enlightened with the presentation of Dr. Abiodun Essiet. Once again, I thank her for accepting our invitation and for her to come here and give us a very robust and elaborate presentation. Thank you so very much. And until we meet again next week, let me bring our matron Hajia Rekia Baraka to give us the closing remarks. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of today's event. Many thanks to our special guest, Dr. Abiodun Essiet, SSA to the President on Community Relations, for your comprehensive presentation. Thank you also to participants who joined us from across the world. Please join us again next time for another exciting episode. On behalf of the Renewed Hope Global Virtual Town Hall Conference team, have a great weekend. And for those of us in the UK, enjoy the sunny, hot weather while it lasts. Please be careful.
I'd like to bring that up. It's beautiful today, man.
Make sure you drink plenty of water to avoid dehydration. And to our Muslim brothers and sisters, Eid Mubarak in advance. Salah Day is Wednesday next week.
Oh, thank you so very much for reminding us. I think it's only in Nigeria they know. In this part of the world, we hardly know. So thank you for bringing out.
Yeah.
And I'll be coming from Aram, Hadia.
You're very welcome, Mr. Chairman.
So thank you so very much, Nigerians across the world. We have come to the end of yet another beautiful, interesting, and enlightening, as well as engaging, very, very much so, virtual conference today. Make it a date with us next Saturday again. Dr. Odiako Obiri will be coming to discuss with us regarding our internal democracy. Do we have one? If we don't have one, what do we do to make sure that we have one? And in preparation for 2027. So God bless you all. Thank you so very much, and have a wonderfully blessed weekend. God bless you.